Welcome back to another special edition Music Drives Us. I'm J-Bo. The gentleman we're about to bring to you, we've been singing his hits. These Eyes, No Time, Undone, Laughing American Woman, Clap for the Wolfman, No Sugar Tonight, Share the World. Since the late 60s and the 70s, we still sing them every day. Please welcome from the Guess Who, such an honor, Burton Cummings.
Hello. Well, thank you very much for the kind words. My goodness gracious. I'm thrilled. I'll tell you what you just said. I'm thrilled that the songs have never gone away. You know, stuff that came out of our heads decades ago is still being played. And to me, that's the big dream that most people have when they get in their first band. They dream about that, but it doesn't happen to everybody. It has happened to me and has happened to Randy. So we're very grateful. Thank you, music gods. Thank you.
Well, it is a treat for us too. You're so great. You're between your Canadian dates and your American dates. You're taking a little break. So it's more even special that you're on with us today. Normally you want to relax, have a cocktail, sit by the pool. So it's very special that you're joining us today. But we got to talk about this. You and Randy Bachman are back together on the road after 23 years. The real Guess Who band. And I want to talk about that in a minute. I want to get deep into it because I've heard you talk about it. It's really important for everyone to know. But first, I got to start with an apology to you. You don't know why. I'm on the radio every night on Sirius XM 70s on 7 in all 50 states and Canada. When I started there in 2012, I looked at the music log, and there it is. Stand tall. I get to play Burton Cummings' solo smash for the first time on my great new national job. I made a big deal out of it. I said, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. The solo smash from Burton Cummings, his one-hit wonder, Stand Tall. I start the song. The next day, I get blasted by your Canadian fan base saying, J-Bo, do your homework. That's not a one-hit wonder. And they started listing hit after hit after hit you had in Canada, which I should have done my homework. I've been here in America. But so my sincere apology that I shortchanged you.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I'm very happy with where I'm at. As I say, the songs have never gone away. And whether it's solo stuff or Guess Who stuff, or I've been on the radio now longer than I haven't been on the radio. and for most entertainers, that's really very, very special. I grew up listening to AM radio. Randy Bachman and I were very lucky. In Winnipeg, we had 3 major AM stations, and one of them was 50,000 watts clear channel. So it was going all over Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, across into the States. And we heard, it was only a city of about 350,000 people. There were 3 major stations vying for the audience. All those stations were on their very, very best all the time. Randy and I heard music that they weren't hearing anywhere else in Canada. He turned me on to Georgie Fame from England for the first time. That changed my way of singing. RCA sent me Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross. That changed my way of singing again. The Doors came along, changed everything. It's like Randy and I grew up on the best radio we could have grown up on, and that's what crept into the songwriting. We were hearing everything, so we were influenced by different styles,
Yeah. And I was wrong. CKLW out of Detroit boomed in, and Rosalind Trombley, she played all your solo songs too. So America did get a taste of those.
More importantly, that's where These Eyes took off originally. Our first big gold record, and it was being played in Windsor, and that's right across the river from Detroit. It crept into Detroit, and it snowballed. The momentum was incredible. And the next thing we knew, it was all over the States. But we didn't see it coming. We didn't see it coming, and I don't think you ever do. Same thing with American Woman. You don't, when you release a record, you don't ever think positively that it's going to go to number one and stay there for 3 weeks. It's everybody's dream that
Yeah.
makes records,
Yeah.
but not everybody's dreams come true. A lot of ours really came true. I'll never forget that day we found out. We were in Milwaukee in a Holiday Inn somewhere downtown in Milwaukee, and we got the phone call from New York that American Woman had gone number one. But not only American Woman, but No Sugar was on the other side, and we had a double-sided number one single. It
Yes.
stayed there for 3 weeks, and I'm not lying when I say this. I carried that Billboard copy around. When I went home to Winnipeg, I went to the local pool hall. I went to the local restaurants. Had that copy with me everywhere. Hey, look at this. We're number
Yeah.
one. We're number one.
Yeah. And it's printed.
I was still only like 21. So it was a
Wow.
big deal for me, you
That's a
know.
big deal. That's a big deal if you're 41 or 51. For
Oh,
21,
exactly.
that's
Exactly. Yeah.
and on the Billboard, and it was, I remember you saying that. I mean, it was American Woman on the 45, and it was what they called a double A side, right?
Yeah.
Because both songs were hits, and on the chart, it listed both of them, right? American
Yeah.
Pie and No More Tonight. Yeah. And No
Yeah,
Sugar Tonight.
I have a copy of that Billboard Top 100 chart with us at number one, and I have it framed and protected forever. It was a special moment, you know.
Yeah. Well, now you're about to come to the States, taking a break between Canada and America. Are the American audiences different? Speaking of American Woman, that kind of inspired it. Are the American audiences different than your Canadian audiences?
Well, right now, there's this tremendous feeling in the States of welcome back. You know, we've got the fake band out of the way.
Yeah.
That fake band was just pathetic. You know,
Do you want to jump into that while we're there? Tell everyone what's going on?
no, you know
No?
what?
Okay.
It's over with. We don't need to talk about the fake band anymore. But
Okay.
they used to, one thing that really frosted me, they used to take our albums to meet and greets after the show and sign our pictures. These weren't the guys that made the records, but they're signing my picture. So
Yeah, and no one
we
it's not you. Yeah.
we finally had enough. Our lawyer figured out the brilliant strategy, and they are not allowed to do that anymore. And they can't use our music to draw people to their fake shows. They were using the real records. These Eyes, American Woman, Share the Land, Clap for the Wolfman. They were using all those records to draw people to their fake shows. And many of those shows, there wasn't one guy on stage that had been on the records. So
Oh man.
I rest my case. The
Yeah.
nonsense is over. The
Yeah.
BS is over.
And you're
And
back.
people are thrilled. I'm getting tremendous response. I'm on Facebook quite a bit, and I'm
Yeah.
getting response from all over the States. Can't wait to see you guys. Great that you and Randy are playing together again. We always have loved the songs. It's about time we can see the real guys. And that's been overwhelming from the States. And I'm looking forward. We're kicking things off soon in the States. And it's going to be great. It's going to be just like it was in Canada. Everybody's saying, welcome back. Yes,
Yeah.
glad to have you. It's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
feeling. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't heard these songs from you guys live for so many years, and the excitement. I've seen the pictures on Facebook, these giant venues, people, holding up their phones, screaming these hits.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of you from many years ago on Howard Stern in the 90s, and it was just your keyboard and you and Howard. And I was just amazed at how you didn't, other than a little reverb, you didn't need anything other than a mic in your voice. And I look at those clips today, and you even mentioned it. Howard said, "Go, you got to do stand tall, and you got to hit the high note." And you said it's a little early, I don't know, but you hit it. And I look at these clips from Facebook, as you mentioned today, and I played one of the clips laughing on 60s Gold a couple of weeks ago. I just took the clip. I was stunned at how amazing you still sound. Your voice is still there. Do you get a little nervous before you go up and say, "Oh man," do you have a little anxious that you're wondering, hope it's there?
I'm nervous. I'm nervous every time I go on stage. I'm always terrified. And I think that's been healthy for me through the years because I always try my very best. I have never, ever sloughed it off. Ever,
No.
ever. I don't care. You can read reviews by guys that don't know what they're talking about, but I have never, ever sloughed it off. I've always tried my best. And I'm always nervous before we go on. And I'm going to be 80 in a year and a half, and
Oh my God.
I'm still nervous when I go out there. So I'm not
Yeah.
ashamed to say that because it makes me try harder.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the clips are just unbelievable. Your voice it hasn't, bless you, it hasn't changed a bit. And
I mean, we have lowered a couple things. We go a half tone down on some things, and maybe a whole tone down on other things. But basically, I'm singing or more or less in the same key as
yeah,
the records 50 years ago. And there are a lot of singers that don't do that. They don't sound the same. I'm thrilled when people tell me that I still sound the same. You know, I'm not
yeah.
that. That's something that every singer hopes to hear, but not a lot of us hear that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're not alone. Russell Hitchcock told me the same thing from Air Supply. Yeah, we know
Yeah.
he can. He said he gets a little nervous until the first song or two, and then he feels good. The same with Mickey Thomas from Starship. He says, "J-Bo, they want to hear that high note on
Yeah.
Jane."
Yeah.
And he was on Howard too, and he said it was a little early, but he did fooled around and fell in love. And it was that same thing with you guys. You just
Well, I mean,
captured,
when Howard Stern wants you to come on at like 8:30 in the morning, that's just about the time I'm usually getting to bed.
right,
You know,
right,
I
yeah.
I live on Van Halen time. I live on Van Halen time. I'm a night guy and I'm not a morning person, you know.
Right, right. Tell us about American Woman. The American audiences, tell us about how that came about in a funny way. You almost stumbled into it.
Um, it was never meant to be political, and I've
Right,
read a million times about how the political lyrics, blah blah blah. That's BS. It was never meant to be political.
right.
We had toured the states extensively on on the strength of Laughing and These Eyes and Undone. And when we came back to Canada, I looked out at the crowd, and the girls looked a bit different. They weren't trying to grow up so fast in Canada. They weren't wearing as much makeup. They weren't wearing sexy clothes quite young, as young as they were in Canada. So I looked out at the crowd that night, and what I was thinking was, Canadian woman, I prefer you. What came out of my mouth was, American woman, stay away from me. And then I was just trying to make things rhyme. Colored
Right.
lights can hypnotize, sparkle someone else's eyes, war machines, ghetto scenes. I was just trying to make things rhyme. Randy had started the riff. You see,
Da, da, da. Da, da, da.
and he said, just sing something, sing anything, you know. And I started making that up. Fortunately, some kid was bootlegging the show that night. We managed to get the tape, and it turned into a #1 record. But you talk about a Cinderella story that
Yeah.
would never have imagined that was going to happen. And yet here I am to talk about it 50 years later, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You should know that on classic hits stations, of course, the Lenny Kravitz remake,
Well, yeah, yeah.
that song, these big stations I work in Boston and Chicago, they test, you probably know these big companies test the music in auditoriums. Now it's online. You turn the dial to the right if you like it, turn to the left if you don't. Lenny Kravitz, your version, his version, comes back and tests like crazy. And that's the
Yeah.
tribute to you guys that
Yeah.
created the melody and the hit. We still play it in Boston today.
Well, you know, the nice thing about the Kravitz version, it introduced that song to the next generation, the MTV generation. We never
Right,
did. Guess who never did videos? We were way before that.
right, right.
There was no MTV when we had our hit records. Um, what Lenny Kravitz version did, it turned the MTV generation onto the original version, and then they started discovering the group a little more. Things like These Eyes and No Time and Wolfman and
Yeah.
Star Baby and even Running Back to Saskatoon from the live album. A lot of our stuff has not gone away, And that makes me so happy,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
songs are still around.
These Eyes and Undone and Laughing in the 60s, you pointed out they were kind of on the softer side. But then when you came out with No Time,
Yeah.
what was your feeling when No Time hit?
Well, I think No Time, we started getting taken more seriously as a rock band, I think, because it wasn't soft like the first three records. And No Time, our audiences got bigger. I remember our audiences grew, and there was more stomping and yelling after No Time came out. We were considered more of a rock band, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And was it true that Wolfman Jack didn't want to do the song until you presented it to him?
He didn't want to have anything to do with it, and our manager at the time begged him, please, can we just come over to your hotel room and you can hear it? Then you can make your decision. See, fate was on our side. Serendipity was on our side. We were recording that in Toronto. For years, we had been recording in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Then we were recording back in Toronto. And ironically, there was a big hot rod car show on at the time in Toronto. Wolfman was there emceeing the car show. We found out he was in town. And originally on the record, I was imitating his voice between verses. I was going to do a little Wolfman shtick. Well, we found out he was there. Well, first of
Right.
all, he didn't want anything to do with it. Then we managed to get him over we went to his hotel with the tape of the record. We played it for him. Within 30 seconds, he said, when do you want me in the studio? Immediately, he heard it and loved it. And he knew he was the Wolfman. He could tell a hit record when he heard it. He knew it was going to be big. It was
Yeah.
bigger than we ever thought. It was
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. It was, I mean, he already, Wolfman Jack, the famous Wolfie Sound DJ in the 60s. He was in American Graffiti, and then he
Yeah.
had the big job in New York, and then Midnight Special. But that sort of galvanized him as truly a national figure. He was a big city DJ, but when that came out, that gave him such a national platform. And I always say, wow, a Canadian band loves this American DJ. He must be big if these guys from Canada are giving him a tribute,
When it was around 1972 or 3 when Wolfman had, when the record had just become big, and we did a show in Honolulu. Aerosmith went on first. I won't even say they were our opening act. That's sort of demeaning to them. But Aerosmith went on first, then the Guess Who, and guess who emceed that show that night? It was the Wolfman.
Wow.
And I'll never forget Steven Tyler, who's not very tall, running around backstage going, where's the Wolfman? Where's the Wolfman? Never seen the Wolfman. It was a great night. It was
Oh my.
Aerosmith, Guess Who, emceed by the Wolfman in Honolulu, Hawaii. It was great.
Yeah. And it had that almost people played on Halloween because it had that Halloween very Wolfman-y, spooky, dark, Michael Thriller like. You were kind of the first Thriller before Thriller in a way.
Well, and the thing is, he got to like the record, and it certainly promoted his career too. It was a win-win for both of us. It was a
Yeah.
win for the Guess Who, and it was a win for the Wolfman.
Yeah. Well, you do a Wolfman Jack impression, but does everybody know that you do the best Gordon Lightfoot I've ever heard? When
I used to do that on stage every night. I would do a little bit of Maggie May, and I would say, well, imagine if Gordon Lightfoot's favorite singer were Rod Stewart, and I would do a little bit of it. Wake up, Maggie. I can't do it. It doesn't sound like him now. I can't do it if it doesn't sound like him. But I used to do that on stage, and toward the end of my shows in Toronto, Gordon came down to one of the shows, and he was sitting right in front of me. And I had to do it. Kind of been doing it all week.
Right.
I did it right in front of him, and he kind of howled in laughter. And then later I saw him in the dressing room, And I said, how did you like it, Gordon? And he said, well, I liked it, but it didn't sound anything like me. And his manager leaned over and said, Gordon, it sounded exactly like you. It was
If
kind of
you
a laugh to do it in front of him.
uh, you got to find it on YouTube. You sound exactly like him.
Once in a while, I do it in Canada because he's been such a legend in Canada. But I, when I was in my first band, the Devrons, when I was a kid, I imitated all when, we didn't have our own hit records. So we did whatever was on the hit parade. So I would imitate,
Right.
if we did Manfred Mann, I would imitate Paul Jones, the lead singer. I would imitate Sam Cooke. I would imitate Marvin Gaye. I would imitate Elvis. I would imitate McCartney and Lennon and Mick Jagger and Billy J. Kramer and the Dakotas. And I used to do a great Jerry Marsden from Jerry and the Pacemakers. And
Yeah.
I learned to sing like whatever records we were doing, I would imitate the singer. And I think that helped me get a style of my own,
Yeah.
or if I have a style of my own, I don't know, because we don't hear ourselves the way other people do.
Yeah.
One thing I'm
Yeah.
very happy with that people are telling me I still sound like that guy on the records. And that's something every singer wants to hear when he gets older. So that makes me very happy. And I go out every night and try my best. No one will ever truthfully say that I sloughed it off because I never have.
No, no one has ever said a bad thing about Burton Cummings today or yesterday. You're one of
Oh
those.
yes, there's been plenty of bad things said, but
All
but
right. I
but
haven't heard any.
it's the truth is that I try 101% every night. I've never sloughed it off
Yeah.
because I take it seriously. I take it very seriously.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we could tell. We could tell. What did I want to ask you? I wanted to ask you. I saw share the land on an episode of Prison Break not too long
Oh
ago.
my!
I don't know if they told you, but yeah,
No,
it's a repeat of remember that show on Fox? Yeah,
I do. I
it was called.
remember vaguely. Yeah,
Yeah,
vaguely.
yeah, you're in there. Share the World's in there, and
Right.
yeah, yeah. What is the what is there a biggest audience song when you have so many hits? Is there anything that they just go, oh my god, and they're up in their feet, or is it most of them?
We do. Yeah, it was my idea to do These Eyes very early in the show, rather than save it till the end, because we have other hit records. We do These Eyes early in the show, and it always gets people up. I don't think they're expecting that first one so early in the show,
Right.
and it's a bit of a surprise. And oh my God, one night it was either Montreal or Toronto. They just stood for about 4 minutes cheering. It was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
that's the
Uh,
one. That's the one we're waiting
I've
for.
never gotten tired of the response. I've never ever that never gets old to me ever.
Yeah, I get it. That audience, they love you and they love Randy. There's a funny moment though where you and Randy weren't getting along way back
Oh,
when. And didn't you make kind of like a parody version of "You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet"?
ah,
Who's the impression? We're talking about Gordon Lightfoot. Who are you and doing like an impersonation, but doing "You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet"?
we weren't getting along at the time, and I was just trying to be a smartass. I was actually going to start that with a typewriter, not a typewriter, a cash register. I was going to start that cut with a cash register ringing to drive home the fact that it was a big money maker, and I was trying to be
Yeah,
a smartass at the time.
yeah.
But Richard Perry wouldn't go for that. He said, no, 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 no cash register in there. But, here's the thing. I did it a bit of a joke, and yet Randy loved it. He loved the fact that we had put in horns in it and done it like sort of like Georgie Fame, And Randy originally turned me on to Georgie Fame years ago. So I kind of like the version now. Randy likes it. He didn't take it as a slap in the face at all. He liked
Yeah.
it.
Well, it sounds like a Michael Bublé, right? A Michael Bublé version of "You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet."
Well, okay, if you want to go there.
You said I
I,
saw
I,
that.
did- I there was a song that he did that I didn't much prefer. Save the Last Dance for Me, I think.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hooked on the original by the Drifters.
All
So
right.
I'm not saying anything bad about Bublé. I prefer the Drifters version.
All right. I love. Well, I'm so happy you're getting along today because you're back on the road after 23 years. Randy Bachman and Burton Cummings, they're coming to New England. Go to the website to get the dates. You got to see them when they get back on the road in a couple weeks here in America. So as we
Absolutely.
wrap up, our foundation created by Ernie Bach Jr. They've been around for 20 years and they go to schools every month and they drop off instruments. A truck backs up. 2 weeks ago in Connecticut, we dropped off 45 violins,
Wow.
$50,000 worth. Yeah.
Great. Good for you, man. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. The team here, Jack and Jason and Ernie, they've been doing this for years, millions of dollars of instruments to get these kids, to focus on their passion. If
Yeah.
they're listening today and they're just starting out, what advice can you give them to stick with their passion and not give up? Whether maybe they won't be a Burton Cummings or a Randy Bachman, but there's still space to nurture their soul with these instruments. What can you share with them about that?
Well, if you want to pursue music as a career, the most important thing is to write some songs, write your own stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody can sing. Anybody can sing, but if you have nothing to sing, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
The writing is that I cannot stress more importantly, the writing, the writing, the writing. Write some songs, write your own stuff. Don't just sing Elvis and Sam Cooke and Marvin Gaye and write your own stuff. Then you have a little bit of control over
Yeah.
your future. There are people that don't write. They have a song finding machine around them. The minute that song finding machine dries up, you're done. Look at
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers was one of the biggest stars in the world. He never wrote his own songs.
Yeah.
The minute that song finding machine stopped, it was over.
Yeah.
Same thing with Elvis Presley. Elvis never wrote any of his own songs. After those lousy movies and things died down, he had no control because he wasn't writing his own songs. So for young people that want to pursue, particularly in pop music, write songs,
Yeah.
write songs, write songs. I cannot stress that importantly enough.
Great advice for a man who's written so many big number one hits and top 10 and top 5 hits that we will still sing tonight. I'll be playing them tonight on 70s on 7.
Excellent,
Oh,
excellent.
man, this is such an honor. I think you and Jim Peterick from Eye of the Tiger and Ides of March, I think you two are the reasons I'm on the radio today still.
Oh,
After
goodness
because of
gracious.
you, because of your amazing songs. I just had to get in there and play Burton Cummings and, of course, Randy Bachman. Best of luck on your American leg of this amazing Guess Who Back Together, the real band tour. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for still working hard and
Thank you.
entertaining us after all these
Thank
years.
you for having me. Thank you for having me. And thank you for all the kind words. I look forward now to the American shows. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I promise we're going to love you as much as your homeboys.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.